An inmate at the Southern Ohio Correctional Institution. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press 1. To prevent calls from this, your current balance is $19.06. This call is from a DRC correctional facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Utilization of an unapproved application and three-way calls to communicate are strictly prohibited and a violation of DRC policy. Thank you for using GTL. Thank you for using GTL.
Okay. So, can you describe, now legally, when you're talking about, doing business with other prisoners that you would normally be able to socialize with, there's things that, you guys are allowed to do, from day to day, in your social activities. And so, there could be the argument that they're going to say, he's talking about doing illegal stuff. Like what kind of things let's elaborate on what you meant when you said that you would normally have access to other prisoners, every day. What kind of things are we talking about?
Yeah, so like passing books, training commissary. So, if a guy needs a shot of coffee or something, if I need a soup or something, if somebody didn't make the store, one of my buddies, and I want to look out for him, or if I was in that situation, somebody wanted to look out for me. If the magazines, people trade off magazines, books, papers,
like you
drawings.
would normally do on the outside if somebody had a book that they'd already read and they're done with it, and another person has one. Yeah,
exactly. Or I like to draw. If somebody wants something drawn up for their little kids or something for Christmas, I do Christmas cards for the holidays, Easter cards, all that. Easter's coming up. Or if I'm just interacting with people, we got a good conversation going on. I can't do that in the cell. I can't build with nobody. I can't relate with nobody because I'm the only one in here that's doing indefinite solitary confinement. When an OSP, they got a whole block dedicated for my security classification. So if I was in there, I'd be able to build and bond with people in a similar struggle as mine. People of like-minded character who I can build with and bear that struggle with. And here, everybody around me, they're getting out. They're not going through what I'm going through. They're not locked down in the cell to where they can't associate with nobody or nothing like that. They don't have a camera watching them 24/7. I'm just on an island here, getting treated differently from everybody.
Right. And so when we were talking about the things that led up to the circumstance that happened to you, you've already gone through 7 years of being incarcerated for crimes that you didn't commit, which is already hard to cope with as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And so, describe how that is every day.
Being wrongfully,
Speak up, honey.
Being wrongfully convicted and having a life sentence, and then having to be targeted for my case, knowing that I'm innocent. It's pretty well established that I'm innocent. Everybody that that has a little bit of common sense should be able to see that by now. These people for sure should know that. And just being targeted.
And you never really had any issues with any correctional officers previously. They all, spoke fairly highly of you in the Ohio State Highway Patrol report when they did the investigation on, that unfortunate circumstance that happened with Melendez. So, you never
Yeah.
had issues with these correction officers that you work with day to day. And then when you were on that block, when they were going around just gassing everybody, now you told me that there were times that they would go up to individual cells and just decide to pick on somebody just for no reason. Now talk about that.
Yeah, you know, they go around picking their shots on people if they got some type of established beef with somebody, or say somebody had a staff assault on their record. It don't even have to be recent. They could just be looking at people's records. You know, when they're bored and they're in their booth and they got access to everybody's information, they're looking at everybody's rap sheets and they're looking for people that they can target. So, you know, if they got a bad day, and like I said, they were having a lot of bad days because one of their, you know, comrades just got killed, they were coming in here and taking it out on us. So, you know, I seen this one guy that was a young kid that, you know, he had people coming to visit him and all that. He was trying to stay out the way, but these people cops kept harassing him, man, every single day. And eventually he got fed up and he did something about it. And, you know, that led to him, you know, getting sprayed and
Now,
having
when
to
you
go to the whole
say
for a while.
harassed, describe the harassment that you're talking about.
Yeah, they're just going up to his cell to try him. Like, what's up, man? Little punk ass bitch, what's up? You know what I mean?
So they were like verbally provoking him.
Yeah, they were dogging. You know, and any man can't take that for too long. Everybody got their limits. You push any man to the limit, most of that.
Well, because these people are already suffering from grief. They're suffering from missing their families. It's the holidays, you know, and they're just trying to cope and get through their days. And rather than being able to cope and get through their days, they're being verbally provoked by, you know, somebody that is basically, you know, picking on them because of the fact that, you know, that they are where they are. And the reality is not everybody in there is even guilty of the crimes that they're there for. And sometimes, you know, these people are innocent. Not everybody, obviously, but even if they're not innocent, you know, they're just trying to do the time that they're supposed to be there for. And, you know, they're supposed to have a second chance outside. But when you're being, you know, tortured or abused, you know, you're not really becoming the healthiest or best version of yourself. You're not able to be, you know, productive or find ways to, you know, develop, you know, these new coping skills or think of a plan or establish those outside connections with their family members to come up with ways to, you know, stop doing those things. Instead, they're being hyper vigilant every day looking for threats. And when you have that fight or flight syndrome that's stuck on all the time, you know, that plays on your mind. And when it plays on your mind, it can, you know, it can cause you to react or overreact to even the slightest little threats, you know, because you're constantly looking or surveilling for a threat.
Yeah, exactly. And you got, you know, you get through the threat, and then the only thing you can think about at night before you go to sleep is tomorrow you wake up, you got to do the same shit again.
Yep. Or are they going to come rush me in the middle of the night, you know, to pick on me? You told me about election night when they pulled you guys out of your cells at 1:30 in the morning and they zip-tied your hands behind your back, and then they unloaded 3 cans of fogger on that guy, and it wafted down to everybody that was lined up against the wall. And you guys had no way to protect your faces, you know, from that gas.
Yeah, the guy next to me was throwing up on us, so.
Yeah, he was throwing up, and he had his hands zip-tied behind his back.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when you were on the block and they were harassing you guys and they were macing you guys constantly, or even if they weren't macing you directly, it was indirectly affecting everybody because of how much mace they were using. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ball spray interacts with the air, and then the chemical, when it hits you, it's designed to take the breath out, you know, so you submit or whatever. So when they got whole entire fog these ain't little baby mace dispensers that you see at the local, gas station or whatever. These are big ass cans, like they hold ounces. They hold multiple ounces of pepper spray, and per policy they're only supposed to use a little short burst. And they don't do that. They empty the whole entire can.
How large
and
are
we
these
got
cans?
multiple cans.
How large are these cans? Is it like a foot? How big? Give us a visual of how big these cans are.
I don't know, like a thermos. Like you see the thermoses they got out there, big ones. They're pretty wide. I would say that they hold. They look like a 1 liter. Matter of fact.
Yeah.
Like a 1 liter of pot.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got a handle on. They got to pull a pin just to use it. They got to pull a pin out.
So everybody's suffering. They're not just
automatically.
Yeah. So they're not just doing a quick burst like they're supposed to. They're unloading the cans, and then everybody on the block is suffering from it.
It's so bad. People in the hallway are suffering from. You can taste the mace. If somebody gets mace in the cafeteria, you can smell it all the way on the outside. So it's not no game.
Yeah. When you're unloading an entire can like that, you are basically affecting everybody around.
Yeah, for sure. It gets airborne immediately because it's fall. It's not the oil-based kind where it shoots out in the stream. It comes out in mist.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like fogging the area. And I know that I tried to talk to you on the phone when that was happening, and almost daily you were coughing and trying to recover from other people being fogged within the area, and it was like constant. You're constantly having to try to recover from being fogged like that.
Yeah, it takes a good hour and a half sometimes, and then in my cell, once it makes its way in here, it's really over with. Just because I don't have good ventilation in here, so once it makes its way inside my cell, it's like it's stuck in here. And I got to wrap a wet rag around my face and then put a towel over my face, and I just got to sit real still. And I ain't trying to move so hard, I have to breathe harder.
Yeah, yeah. And then this excessive strip searching, it's meant to make somebody feel like they're violated. They're being sexually violated. And why? How many times a day are they strip searching?
Well, back here, we got to get strip search anytime we leave our cell for some reason. When I know for a fact in OSP, when they go to wreck down, we got to be strip searched. And that's the super maximum security. They just got to get a pat down.
So you're sitting in a cell with 24-hour camera observation, but they still feel like they need to strip search you when they pull you out of the cell?
Oh, yeah. When I was in J1, I was getting strip searched multiple times a day. And when I was back there, in the wooden words herself in a lawsuit against somebody else for excessive strip search, she specifically said in that lawsuit that J1 was the most secure housing unit in SOCA. So I'm in the most secure housing unit in SOCA. All movement is being observed at all times. The porters on the block are separated from ourselves by a whole range of bars, and they're being watched by COs. But for some reason, they felt justified to come and strip search me twice a day. Sometimes they were strip searching me in a strip cage out in the holding area with like 20 COs watching me.
Right, and they were taking photos of you. And that was intentional. That was intentional. That's psychological torture. It's intentional, and that's against the law. And you have filed grievances regarding these. And when you file grievances, how is the chief inspector answering? Are they granting your grievances, or are they saying that that they're not warranted?
Well, they were granting them for a while, and then they picked up on the tactic. They started doing something like this, where if I file a grievance and the institutional inspector grants it, but he doesn't actually grant it, and then I escalate it because I'm not satisfied with the grievance disposition, then the chief inspector will automatically dismiss my claim. He won't even consider anything I'm saying. Even if I specifically said the inspector claims to have granted this, but
You have 1 minute remaining.
no, due to this and that, because they're not actually following the disposition, then the chief inspector will automatically write it off and be like, oh, well, this issue has been granted, therefore, according to 5120-9-31, this is no longer a grievable matter.
So they're granting it, but they're not actually following through. And so basically they're just continuing the same behaviors after admitting that they were wrong.
Exactly. So, for example, with the vents being covered, I wrote a grievance against it. That granted, they sent the health inspector here, and the health inspector specifically said to remove the obstruction or to modify them to the point where there's no blockage. So, boom, they come in here, they drill a couple microscopic holes in the vent, and they leave. They never do a further inspection. So, I enhanced the grievance, and I said I'm not satisfied with the way that this has been dealt with. And chief inspector, instead of coming to do his own.
Thank you for using GTL.